of the guy's name without it.
I want it to be right. I don't want
Peoria's
to lose
got
our
some nice
road or
restaurants.
Washington.
So my brother accepted the cheer competition.
Yeah.
In John. They're like fixtures.
Yeah.
Lafayette, stuff like that, his girls. She told me this place.
Would you make a quick email to the employees tomorrow?
Kevin, how do you
That's
balance
due
it?
very soon, but
It's in Indiana, but it's like a, what is it?
I mean, we get this AIC
I can't remember, not Hungarian, but some foreign. And they got these great big ice cream, just ridiculous things. John's like, the kebab.
Talk to him about he.
Sting? No.
Stubborn.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, now I am.
But he did say, I'm not comfortable on the ladder, like a year.
If everyone wants to find a seat, we'll get started this evening.
We're Chip.
What's that?
You wanna do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Call the meeting to order of the Morgan County Council for June 2nd, 2025. If you'll stand, Brian Culp's going to lead us in the pledge, and then Chip Keller's going to lead us in prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we just pause to give thanks for this opportunity to gather as a council and as a community. We thank you for the blessings of living in Morgan County. We ask that you just be with us now as we make decisions for all of us, that it may be in the best interest of all. Please be with our public safety officials and all those that serve our country. We thank you for them, and we just pray these things in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Chip. Thank you, Brian. Okay, let the record show that all council members are in attendance this evening. And did everybody get a copy of the treasurer's monthly report for April and the clerk's monthly report for April? Just want to make sure everybody had a copy of that. And then we did receive the minutes for the May 5th meeting. Did anybody have any questions or changes on that? For a motion to approve the minutes?
We'll make the motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Thank you, Melissa.
Joe Crone will second it.
We have a motion by Melissa Green, seconded by Joe Crone. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. All right, we're going to start with an additional appropriation for the Monroe Township EMS station. Josh, are you presenting that this evening?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize that was on here. So we have money that we receive from Raindrop LLC as part of a taxpayer agreement we have with the West Point TIF District. Every quarter, they make us a payment of, it's usually going to be more than $100,000. And so as that, those are funds dedicated for the EMS station. So as those funds come in each quarter, we come before you all and ask to appropriate them towards the project.
Correct. Anybody have any questions on that? How are things going out there with the stations?
Coming along great.
Is it? I
Yeah.
haven't been out that way.
Looks good.
There's first layer of paint on the interior of the building.
Good. Estimated date of completion?
Probably July.
Oh, that's soon.
Wow.
Wow, that's great. All right. Not hearing any questions?
Chip Keller will make a motion to approve that additional appropriation of $100,000 for the Monroe Township EMS station.
Vicky Kivett seconds that.
Motion by Chip, Councilman Keller, seconded by Councilwoman Vicky Kivett. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you,
you all.
Josh. All right, moving into new business. Deckers Outdoor Corporation amended CF1. I think Mike Dellinger's here, and then do we also have someone from Deckers? Okay, I'm sorry. If you'll just come up and state your position with Deckers, and then let us know what's going on.
Well, I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Short group with me, we have to.
There we go. I'm not sure you want that either. I'm Rochelle Eisenman. I represent Deckers. I don't work for them personally. They're a client of ours for property tax purposes.
Okay. And I'm sorry, your name again?
Rochelle Eisenman?
Okay. I think I saw your name on some of the documents, yes.
Yes, you would probably see that based on the amended return, the cover letter.
Great, okay. So tell us why the numbers are less than what you had originally anticipated. What's
Well,
going on?
I'll do something right now. Let's make sure that what I can represent is basically the numbers that Deckers gave to us, and that was based on the end of 2023 that was put on the CF1. Are we just talking about head count, or are we talking about the investment?
Well,
Because formally, I'll just give a quick 2-3 minute of what happened is that this was a taxpayer that we did their compliance returns, basically their returns. And then I reviewed the fixed asset listing and then went and did a tour. And based on that, it looked like the abatement had been increased from like the original 50 million in investment to like 76 million.
last July, they came before us and asked for that.
Sure. So, and I was not part of that. However, when I looked at the 2024 return and the fixed assets that they had put in place, it looked like there was about an additional $10 million that could have been added into the cost of the abatement. So that's why I was really preparing an amended return, is to get that cost up based on the new covenants that were established in the SB1. So at that time, then I checked with Olivia. She is of Deckers, I believe. I'm not sure what her position is. Controller, possibly. And just worked with her on, I didn't really get any different head count. I did notice that that was a little bit low, 23 versus additional 80. And, the only response was that they were just starting and ramping up. And I asked her for the application, because typically, to get an abatement, you have to have an application, you've got to give the current head count, you have to give, you guys all know what you need to have to be provided. And I was not given a copy of that, so I didn't know what that 80 head count, it looks like 80 to 100 head count, I didn't know if that included temps or not. And at the time of the filing, she didn't either, so I'm like, well, if you don't know, I don't want to be unethical and not know what I'm reporting, so let's just go ahead and report the same number. So then in the meantime, then she did provide kind of a matrix from their HR that said 23 was Deckers, there was additional temp people, and then also like from a security outsourcing, there was another 23 or 25 head count as well.
And are those all employed there at the Monrovia location?
Yes, they are all there, yes. So what my kind of question still remains is what did that application look like as far as how did they determine 80 to 100 head count? If it included temps, then I think we're okay, and that was just an error on our part to not include those originally, if that makes sense.
Mike, did you have any input on that, on why those numbers are different?
Hello.
Iron Man is what her last name means in German, Iron Man.
That's right, it does.
Okay, so Mike Dellinger. In a 10-year cycle on a tax abatement, employment numbers will vary. You see that in economic cycles. So what you're looking at is, were they supposed to create and retain that number from that point in period? I don't know that your question so much is about the number of jobs actually created being full-time or part-time. It's about the adjustment that's been requested on the tax bill.
You were getting to that.
Right. So I don't know that your issue is so much on employment. It's the tax value that we anticipated when we gave that tax abatement, to which jobs were attached. So it's not so much about the job creation and retention, it's about all of a sudden, there's an appeal of the tax bill which changes the equation of the agreement that you had on the values the company would create for you over that period of time.
And impacts a lot of entities.
It certainly does. And
Yeah.
so I think that's what you need to help the council address. And then, I know if it may be best for you to gather what you can from Rochelle this evening and continue this until July. If you don't feel comfortable going yes or no either way, you have that option because we're not up against a deadline wall yet. But again, the key thing for me, what I understand is, jobs cycles vary, and you can, in a cycle tax, just simply because it's an adjustment, a reaction to a market. So if they didn't meet it today, it doesn't mean they won't have met it in year 5, year 7, year 10. But the question to me is, what we granted was based upon certain values that the company stressed would be ours, and then through your process of tax valuation, you've come back to say, well, no, actually, they can save this kind of money. Well, that goes against the grain of what the original decision was. And it is, tax abatements are, if I'm not mistaken, somewhat subjective.
So Mike, and I know I'm not at the microphone. and
We
I
can hear
told
you.
people, so you can repeat my question into the microphone.
Sure.
For those watching at home.
And this is Ann Cowger, our county attorney, just for the record.
So can you address, because I'm trying to make sure, we were here, we had an original
Right.
investment, and then we had an additional investment.
Yes. The original investment was $50 million with 80 full-time jobs created.
Okay,
And then they came back and said, well, actually, we've gone beyond that 50 million that we had the tax abatement on to roughly 73 million, and came back and reprocessed that and approved that.
but when we reprocessed that, did we
They had
do
an
that-
additional amount of money as well.
Did we do that retroactively, or was that just on a go-forward?
I think it was retro, as I recall. Does anybody else recall that?
I don't recall.
I don't.
The dates extended it beyond, and again, it's arranged as well, your completion date and your,
Right.
or your start date.
When you put in
Right. I don't think the SB 1 included that.
Well, and just to give an idea of how these numbers, I mean, and Linda, you've been great in getting this information for us too. I mean, currently, if we leave it as is, with the abatement as is, no changes, the taxes you will pay is $110,680, okay? And some change. And then, which that's gonna, and then, the amended return, what you've presented under the CF1, is actually gonna bring that down to only owing $18,917. So that's a shortage of $91,763 to our taxing entities, which is the county, the schools, the township fire department, the library. I mean, all of those are gonna be impacted. So, I mean, we sit in a position where we want companies to come to Morgan County. We want to entice them to come to Morgan County, but we don't want to bait and switch. So, I mean, I think we've been very giving in this. I mean, I was a little upset when you came back and asked for more, a bigger abatement. And now you've come back and you want to reduce what the abatement is. So I bristle a little bit with that because we've got other eyes that are looking at Morgan County and they're going to say, whoa, all we got to do is get in there, get that big abatement, and then we'll go in and change our values and we'll get that lowered and we'll be sitting in high cotton. Well, I don't like that. I mean, because the county's not the big loss here. I mean, we're going to lose money, but the school's going to lose almost $60,000. And then the township fire is going to lose, the library's going to lose. I mean, all of those, we're counting on those dollars that we are responsible for. And so, but the next equation's a big one. If we find you not compliant, or them not compliant, I don't want to say you, not compliant, and we take away that abatement, then your tax bill's going to be $331,545. And none of us, I mean, you don't want that, and they don't want that, but we don't want $18,917 when we're due $110,000. So I think they need to go back to the drawing board at this point. I mean, and I'm just one of 7 here, but I think they may need to go back to the drawing board, work on those numbers, because if we say that, non-compliant, and we pull the abatement, they're going to be looking at a lot bigger number. And I don't say that threateningly. I mean, I'm just saying I want us all to know what the numbers are and how it's going to impact. So that's my 2 cents worth.
I think
Anybody
that-
else have comments, or?
If I may for you.
Sure.
I believe that if this had been something that had been taken care of at a previous time in a budget cycle, we would have been prepared for it. But this appeal coming up so late, and again, tax abatements are subjective. Well, this equation has changed for you, so I would encourage you, at least maybe we continue it to July so that other questions and answers can be found for you. I would hope you would give the business that benefit.
Is that something you think they'd be interested in, maybe putting this off until July?
No, I agree, and the other thing too is that an amended return does need to be approved by the assessor and auditor office as well. And that, in turn, affects the abatement as well. So the abatement originally was 21 million, and we bumped it up to 25 million as far as the credit goes. So I'm not sure, I mean, their whole total base is like 76 million, and
Atlanta.
they had some building in there. They had some building equipment, building equipment, yeah, both. They had some building that was listed as a leasehold improvement that they included on their pooling schedule. So that was reduced. The pooling schedule was reduced. And then there was some abatement assets, machinery and equipment that had been reported, but it had not been taken off on the 103 ERA. So, but no, definitely we can look at this. I can work with Linda's office. Because I'm the one that knows the numbers the most as far as with their fixed asset listing. And we don't want to jeopardize as is, and we can leave it as is. You know,
If we
so,
leave it as is for this year, that would be great.
for 2024,
Because we had a net value for '24 of $8,876,910.
right,
Now, when we certify our values to the DLGF, we did withhold a little bit, but that was only $3 million.
okay,
So we can't account for this shortage.
okay.
Did anybody else have any input or questions, comments?
That would put them coming back to us when, if we delay it 24?
Our July meeting?
But if we leave it as is,
Well, we're saying,
It'd be
let them go back and look at their numbers and see if they can come back in their July meeting, or if they decide to leave it without requesting this reduction, then we can, it'd be done.
through 2025.
Well, this was the 24,
This is
pay
24,
25.
pay 25,
yeah.
yeah.
So it'd be the pay 26 if they
And
wanted
the
to.
council can review the CF one for the 25, pay 26, July meeting also.
Right, and the 25, just to remind everyone of how that pooling schedule works. First year's at 40%, next year's at 56%. So the numbers are gonna be inflated, both your basis and your abatement. Even if you don't do anything, your assessed value is going to increase. So your pool and your taxes are obviously going to increase without doing anything.
At least until a period of time where the state eliminates personal property taxes altogether, which I think we see that often in the future.
We're heading in that direction, yes.
I'm good with what you said, and I agree, so we'll leave it as is and give them another month and see if they want to come back.
Yeah,
Okay.
You need a motion to table it, or
we need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we table this until the July meeting?
Thank you, Brian. We have a motion by Brian Culp
I'll second it.
and Troy, motion by Brian Culp, seconded by Troy Sprinkle, to hold off until the July meeting on this. We'll table it until then. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
All right. And next on our new business is the Job Maintenance Committee met prior to our meeting regarding EMS. And is got that for us?
I do. Good evening.
Good evening.
Last budget cycle, EMS, we had a little bit of a change. They were changing job descriptions after being in the position for a couple of years. We had two equal director. One was operations and one was administration. We have a situation where the director of operation is going to be leaving us to go to PA school. So we are going to be advertising this position. Once it is approved, we would like for these changes to take effect when the new person is hired. The new person would report to the Director of Administration, which is Director Worth. And for your purposes, we had already, Brent had already asked for the money to be changed, so there's no change in money. This is a change of classification and job duties. So the classification that they are both currently in is EXE 1, and both of the salaries for this are way above what that would be. So when we had them reclassify, the position of Chief Director of Operations came in at EXE 2, fits perfectly in that section. And then the Director of Administration, the Chief Director of Administration, would fit in EXE 3 with the salary.
So, but when we set these positions, it was kind of a co-manager or
Correct.
co-director type position.
Correct.
And weren't they paying the same amount?
They were being paid the same. We knew this was going to be coming down the road, and so last budget cycle, they went to two different rates.
Okay, I thought there was something.
We didn't change anything of reporting or anything like that. So that would be something we would ask that this would take effect when the new person is hired. So the amounts already reflect a
Okay.
difference.
All right, that was my only question. Anyone have questions on this, or any input from the job committee?
We approved it, obviously.
Correct.
I have no issue with it. Yeah. For a motion?
Brian Culp will make a motion that we approve the changes as presented.
Kim Meredith will second that motion. So we have a motion by Brian Culp, seconded by Kim Meredith. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thanks,
Thank
Doreen.
you. And we will post this tomorrow. EMS is one of them that you had exempted from asking if they could fill a position or not.
Is that offered within, I mean, do jobs post like internally first if someone in that department is interested?
If the
or-
supervisor asks for that, we do that, but usually, for the most part, like 9 out of 10, I post them on internally Facebook, website, and our job site, like on the same day,
Okay,
typically.
all right. All right.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. All right. Well, we've got that can we've been kicking for a while. The old business, Health Department, new position to replace the current administrative position.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I brought our health officer, Dr. Broderick, with me tonight.
Good evening.
So we are here, like you said, to represent the reclassification of our empty admin assistant position that we would like to reclassify and rename to that finance/grants manager. It's an essential position to the health department. Bills have to be paid, accurate budgets need to be kept, supplies must be ordered, grants must be overseen, and invoices must be submitted to the state, and all of that needs to be done timely. So we know that public health funds ebb and flow constantly. So I did want to give you guys the brief overview, because I don't think we've gotten to go through what our new Health First Indiana funding is. We got those numbers. So as we know that they were decreased overall by about that 75%. So we also saw almost exactly that same 75% cut. So we're going from 1.4 million in 2025 to 375,337 and 29 cents in 2026. So that's our 75% cut. However, most of that funding that we had that was additional in 2025 was given out in those grants that we were giving out to the community. So not optimal, not saying that it's a good thing, but we, as I'm looking at it now, will be able to keep our, be fully staffed. We just won't be able to do those grant programs out to the community. So we also lost an immunization grant, so that is going away as of June 30th is the last day for that. So we are moving some things around to be able to pay one of our nurses for the second half of the year. I've worked with Joyce on that. We're able to do that with 2024 HFI carryover funds. We had a small portion left there, and that will be able to cover those costs. But then in 2026, we plan to have our clinical secretary, 3 then full-time nurses on the HFI funds, and then we're gonna move the emergency preparedness coordinator back to the public health emergency preparedness base and CRI grant. So right now, we've been spending those funds on supplies and the FEP, public health emergency preparedness FEP, on that assistant coordinator. We are not refilling that assistant coordinator position. So that will just be covering most of our full-time emergency preparedness coordinator position. The rest of that will go onto HFI funds as well. Okay, I'm trying to think of all of our different funds. So a few months ago, you guys approved of our school health liaison position. So that person is going to be paid at least for the next 2.5 years through our school liaison grant fund, and then that will deplete. So we have a lot of moving parts, a lot of grants. Some of the grants are going away, ours and both the ones that we are granting to the community. But I think if we look at the numbers and if we are able to be in the ballpark of having a potentially flat budget from 25 to 2026 in our 1159 county budget, the only thing that we would need to do to change to be able to get this reclassification of the admin assistant is just take away that environmental health specialist part-time position, and we'd have a flat budget.
You're going to lose $1 million and you can still keep all of your employees?
Yes, ma'am.
How much of it, you said,
Yeah.
out of the 1.4 million, you said a lot of that was the money you guys gave out to the community partners. How
Yeah.
much is that?
It was almost 700,000. However, so I will say, and I'm glad that you asked that, Kim. So like the director position, those health maintenance and trust funds that we are supposed to be spending down and we've been trying to spend down for many years, you can put staff and benefits and travel and like all those good things in those funds. So we were going to move my position or the director position to those funds. We would get that almost perfectly depleted in 2026. We decided to not reopen the RFP, the request for a proposal, in 2025. So our last awards for that came through in April. We're not going to reopen it, which means that we'll have around 300,000 of carryover from the HFI funds. So we would be able to use those for 2026 staff, and then we would still have more carryover to take into 2027 to pull us through these 2 years.
Isn't that kind of a Band-Aid, though? I mean, no pun intended, but you're...
Right. It comes with a shot, for sure, immunization, yes.
Shot in the arm.
I know.
That's a shot in the arm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, yep, that's public health funding. And we're really, I mean, what we've kind of been told from the state, the Indiana Department of Health, is these 2 years and all of the grants and the things that we're doing, we're really creating the stories, we're getting the success stories, we're getting the data, and we're getting the numbers. And then we're gonna take that to legislators and for 2027 legislative session, to really hope that they increase those numbers again. Or, I mean, this gets us through 2027, 2.5 years. 2028 may look very different for public health, but.
Well, and I hate you're in this position. I mean, the state did you no favors and us no favors. I mean, when we heard, oh, it's going to be great, this money's going to come from the state and it's not going to come out of your budget, but now
And
we're
it's
going to take
be
it away.
consistent, yeah.
And you got to figure out how to keep those employees. Because I mean, honestly, it's eventually going to come back on us. I
Sure.
mean, we can Band-Aid it for a year or two,
Yeah.
but then eventually the county's going to be paying for those positions.
Yes,
So
and/or the changes and.
my
will be
hesitation
made.
is, why add a position that we're going to eventually have to take away? I mean,
Yeah.
well,
so
we're filling a position that's not filled currently. So, I mean, somebody's getting paid that, yeah.
So, yeah, currently I have RNs doing invoices. I've got a master's in health doing invoices. I've got contracted labor by the name of LaFerry. And so the difference in this from where we were to what we're asking is $14,000. And we've shuffled and prioritized, and et cetera. And so, right, we got the rug pulled out from under us.
We did.
Here's the money,
No
build a
fault of your
greenhouse, here's the seeds, here's the pots, here's the fertilizer. And the next year, keep the greenhouse with no seeds, no pot, no.
Good analogy.
And
Great.
so, but we got staff, we're gonna fulfill all our requirements. But this, essentially, our finances are grants, because they all come with strings and deliverables and categorizations that we can or cannot do, emergency, these things. And so managing that and then getting it, reporting it back with the HFI, or reporting it back to this. Can't get Jean to do that. And I need nurses nursing. I need an administrator administrating. And so I guess what I'm asking for is the discretion of $14,000 to get this position and make us go stronger. Is it going to, are things going to change? Is there another rug to be pulled? Maybe. Guess we'll have to deal with that. But I guess for $14,000, I'm asking that we give the discretion. Yeah, I have to answer to a board. She has to answer to me. We answer to the board. So, and we got to go through these processes. I get it.
Is there a
I guess I'm
way
just
that
asking.
the grant, the person that's getting the grants, I mean, is there any way to get a grant to supplement that?
So-
I mean,
That's what this position would be looking for.
Yeah, so that's part of this as well, as this individual will be, so sometimes we'll get this email from the state or from something. Oh, a grant available for neonatal health or maternity-child health thing. 30 days, we need to know if you're in and you can make these deliverables. So you gotta look at your staff, you gotta look at these. And so we have somebody, and you gotta write it up, and you gotta, these things. So when you got all these people working in the department and not working on the department, yeah, so that's exactly that kind of thing, is that out there as well. But yeah, as far as managing, here's these funds, we put it in this category, we put it in this category, and we have to report it back that we're compliant with that. To ask Jean to do that, or a nurse, or someone that should be administrating. It's just time, I guess. And so I implore that we have this $14,000 bit of leeway in the
But you're still
discrepancy.
using Gene contractually, correct? Is that, and that's in that as well? I mean, that's in your budget that could potentially, I mean, is that in your calculations, that position to continue?
Yeah, that would be, we have, I believe, $10,000 in the 1159 budget, so that would be a part of like keeping that flat budget, so that she could be here for training for that person.
How much is she working? How many hours?
Yep, so since this position has been empty since December, or middle of December, it was 81 hours. That was last time we chatted, and I don't know what she worked while I've been gone the last 2 weeks, so. 81 hours and about 2 out of 18 weeks. The rest of it has been done by me.
What are you gonna do when Jeannie says, I'm never coming back?
A lot of things are going to get dropped, and things are not going to be paid on time, and we're going to go to a lot of collections, and we're not going to get invoices back from the state, or those are the types of things that we would lose out on.
So to be clear, this 14,000 would be coming from your fund. You're not asking for additional appropriation from the council. This is money you have within.
We have
This year.
$41,000.
This year.
we have $41,088 for this position for this year that is untouched. Because we have not put anything in that position.
I'll speak up. I mean, I totally get the position, and I hate it for you guys. Obviously, you could cover this for this year, but I'm still very concerned about the unknown of the next couple of years, because we still don't know exactly what our property tax funding is going to be and the lit income. So I would rather you wait, or I'd rather us wait until budget time, to when she presents a budget for next year, to see if all this will fit. And I know that puts you guys under a strain for the next 4 months or so, or the rest of the year. But I just don't, especially after the last 2 meetings, you know, we've heard from several of our taxpayers who are very
Oh, yes.
displeased with the current rate of taxes and whatnot, that I think it's better just to wait. That's my thoughts.
So we have half of this year, right, and what we've got that we have not paid. And so if it's a $14,000 annual difference, or it's $7,000 difference, and sure, I know going forward, et cetera. And I understand your concerns, Chip.
I'm just concerned
but
that,
I'm
you know,
concerned for $7,000 to say that
I'm not
we
concerned
can't
about that
take that
either.
on.
I'm concerned in
7,000.
August.
It's
when
the
we meet-
ongoing. You give someone a job, and then next year we got to say, we don't have the funding for it. We got to.
This is not one that would go away. I
Well, it
mean,
will if we don't have the funds. I mean,
Yeah, I
we
mean, there's a
play,
possibility.
we play shells all the time. I mean, Linda knows. And Joyce, and yeah, we're pulling on them. We're using their time because
Right.
we're trying to make this happen.
It is a strain. Joyce does spend a lot of time, not every day, but there are days that she spends a lot of time helping them. With their turnover, I mean, just when she would get someone just about trained, then they just disappear.
Yeah. And then it's
We
Joyce.
feel the frustration. I know Tricia feels it more than I do.
She's being very polite. I know she feels the frustration more than she's letting on.
And we know how passionate you are
But
about this.
I'm
Yeah.
afraid in August, when we come back and we meet with our financial advisors and we sit down, I'm afraid they're going to say, well, you know, your general fund's going to shrink by 10%, and we're going to end up having to ask people to make cuts, and that'll be up to the departments. But I just feel like there's still, it's not known yet. And so I just can't, with a good conscience, let them just add someone, or not add, but just increase it right now, so.
I think,
I mean,
To
you
that
could add it, and then next year they may say, okay, we gotta make cuts, and then they'll have to cut a nurse or something else.
right, I think to that point, that's the perfect point, is that we would just love to have that discretion to say, like, you know, maybe one of our nurses needs to go to part-time. Maybe we do go down to 2 full-time nurses. But I think like with this type of position, again, it's just an essential position. Like, those are essential duties that has to be done. So whether we have like 5 employees or 20 employees, like, those are still things that have to get done in our department. So I think that's what we're kind of looking at. Like, if everyone would have to decrease their hours, if we would have to go to a 4-day week. There are health departments that are Monday to Thursday. I've looked at all the different types of options, just kind of thought through that, but just having like the discretion to think about where those cuts could come from.
Those that do the 4-day a week, are they doing longer day hours?
That's just me, the 40. Everyone else is 35.
But if you opted
Oh,
to
I'm
go to
sorry.
a 4-day work week, would you expend your hours to the public?
We were looking at, if we needed to decrease our hours, that maybe we would go to like a 4 to 8, or like 4-day, 8-hour work week. So like a 32-hour thing. That would take us down from the 35 hours to 32. And then if you look at that cut across our board, that actually almost provides that entire position salary, when you look at it that way. So other departments, I think they're like 8 a.m. to 4:30, that type of thing, and then they have that lunch in the middle, and that's how they do their 4-day weeks.
And not to sound negative towards your department and your situation, but Do you hear this in other counties, the same type position is being overworked? Do you ever get any feedback what's going on in other counties?
Like a finance/grants?
Well, no,
Management
as far
position.
as turnover on this specific
Oh.
position.
Those were bad hires on my part.
Well,
And those
He's
days are
fallen on
over.
the sword.
on the sword.
Those days are over.
Have you?
And I got a superstar here that wants to make a little something happen well. And again, if it's 7,000, 14,000, if we have to shuffle something around, we'll make it happen. But that's what public health is. And we got all these different pockets. And it's going to change. It's going to be different next year? Yeah. You know, would you get the rug pulled out from under us? Yeah. But this is, again, this is paying the bills.
Yeah.
And yeah, I paying nurses to do invoices.
But that's kind of what's happening everywhere.
I get it.
I mean, I'm a licensed insurance agent, but 2 hours out of the day, I got phone duty because our receptionist's mother was ill and she had to leave, and we haven't hired anybody else. So I think we're all restructuring our businesses. And if that means maybe restructuring your job duties and finding someone that can find, 2 hours out of their day to do this or that they're not normally doing, and it may be beneath them, but you keep a job. And so, I mean, that may be what it comes to, because that's what's happening in the world, is we're all having to wear different hats.
And so as we looked at $1 million being gone, and the plan, and the vision, and all these things, and peoples, and educators, and, this more of a clerical position, this $14,000 difference is a hybrid of the finance aspect of it to grants management aspect of it. So ideally, these are two spots. And if there's $1 million out there this year, we'd be coming for that, because we want to get the most out of these people. Well, this is some hybrid, and in my mindset anyway, shuffling the dollars to make a compromise to make this happen, so we can have nurses nursing, administrators administrating, and grant people, filling our grant obligations and pursuing others. And so, I mean, as money throws around, I guess $14,000 for me kind of stings a little bit, that we can't be given the responsibility of taking this position, making it work. If we have to make some other changes, so be it. But like she said, if there's 5 or 25, this is a vital position. So, again,
So more or less, you're gonna fill this position to do the grants, and then if it comes down the road that you can't afford that position, you're just gonna take something away lower down.
yeah, but this is day in, day out invoices, putting them in the right category, because it's gotta be to this grant, and it's gotta be compliant, because we can't buy these out of that, or we can't buy this out of that. And so, again, Linda's not too familiar with these things, and again, I guess just.
I'd be curious to hear anyone else's thoughts.
Well, I mean, that's what I was thinking. I mean, if they're gonna keep the position if they fill it, and then they're just taper off down the line instead of coming back for more money from us, right? Like, is that the plan? Like, you're not planning to come?
Yeah, I'd be
Like,
curious
that
to
would
see
be
a
my
chart
thought.
of the shuffling. Like, all that
see it?
shuffling,
Yeah.
I could not keep up. I'm looking through my papers going, wait, do I have this?
Yeah.
Because that
I'll
shuffling.
make you a nice little Excel sheet.
Right, you have an Excel spreadsheet?
Have to do that.
No, because that's going to be
I
a
mean,
tough
do
decision
you
that's
do
going to
that in
have to
your
be
household
made.
budget? I mean, you shouldn't have to be moving this over here to pay that, and this, I mean, it should be a budget that works.
So I'm a little curious, you're talking about this person is someone who is gonna go out and look for grants and administrate grants and get grants. Where do the grants come from?
They come from DMHA, IDOH, federal grants, foundations, et cetera, et cetera.
And you're currently getting some of these grants from what you just named?
Yeah, some of them are like that immunization grant that is going away. The FEP grants are decreasing. those types of, yeah, it's,
Do we still see these grants coming through? I mean, that's part of my question. Are we,
With all
are
the
we
changes
gonna
that we're seeing.
bring on someone to look for grants that aren't gonna be there anymore? Because everything I see is decreases in these budgets at the federal and state level.
Yeah.
Across the
So-
board.
yeah.
the
And I
grant's
think
gonna
there
be
are
there.
a lot from like any number of, I mean, we need a person to look for them, but there are pages upon pages of grants that you can look for. I don't know the status of all of them, but
Well, the hard decision's gonna have to be made. Hopefully, it doesn't have to be made, right? Hopefully, it'll be able to, he or she'll be able to find another grant to keep basically funding her position. But is there a position that's in your mind that if I have to cut, I will cut? If I have to make it a part-time, I'll make it a part-time? Because obviously, there's somebody in that spot, and it's gonna affect them.
Well, you mentioned making a nurse part-time. So you would take a nurse that's already full-time and cut them to part-time just to fill this position?
it's a possibility.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, if we have to cut a few programs, we do have a couple of ladies who are in their older years. And so I could see some of them wanting to be taking on less hours anyway.
I'd be careful with that.
I'm laughing over here going, I mean, she just went from
Yeah, yeah.
part-time to full-time 2 years ago or last year, so.
Yeah.
For her to go
I
back
don't
to
think we'll
that.
get into that, but,
Yeah.
any other questions, comments? If not,
This is a tough one.
it is tough. We're not in a good position going into budget time this year, and
We know it.
yep. What happened?
I guess, again, we're not trying to come after you guys for anything. We'll make it fit. Just, let's have the discretion. We put a lot of work into making this a little bit fit. What would be $14,000, which would be $7,000 for the rest of this year. Again, difference from where it was. With somebody with a bachelor's degree in experience in such things, so.
Jean might apply for the job.
I wish I could clone her.
Yeah. But Jean is very technical. She will have every I dotted, every T crossed, et cetera. But to say, I'm going to think outside a box and go and work, we need somebody that's got a little different twist on this to implement. Oversee the intern program. We had some interns come in through. That's been great. So we want to take with what we got left of this damn greenhouse and make some things still happen and shifting money neutrally with these things. Again, just give us the discretion. Yeah, I have to answer to the board. We understand the dollar thing. We're not, you could make me eat my words if we come back, if I say, oh, I need $14,000 more.
If she didn't come back at all anymore, is there someone there to do that job that's trained in any of these areas?
She still has pieces that I have not been trained on. I have the base level to make sure that invoices and bills get paid on time. Do a little bit of posting, make sure that we know how much we're spending, but typically that's Joyce. So I have to go talk to her because we don't have an accurate, how much have we spent type of thing. And the state has been very adamant that we need to have our own internal finance processes, which I agree with.
Yeah, they want all this, but then they want to take the money away.
Right.
Gotta love it.
I know, that's what we asked about that for the reporting, because I think I've told you guys, we had like the 30 pages of reporting. That's not going away.
Yeah.
All of our deliverables not going away.
Exactly, yeah.
But
Yeah,
we
the
still have
work's
to-
still there.
Yeah.
The dollars
exact-
aren't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I get it. I mean, like I said, I hate you're in this position.
No, I know.
But I think we've tabled it enough, we've talked about it, and I think a decision has to be made for the remainder of the year anyway.
Thank you for your consideration.
Sure.
Madam
We
President,
appreciate you
members.
coming back time after time. To approve it, then.
moving money.
For this year. Yeah. They're gonna cut a nurse. I mean, I don't like that. You can make a motion, Joe.
Make a motion to approve this, what is it? Health Department new position to replace the current administration assistant position.
Okay, we have a motion by Joe Crone,
Brian Coppell, second.
seconded by Brian Culp. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
No.
Aye. I'm sorry, doesn't pass. So we have 3 yeses and 4 nos.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Oh, okay. All right.
Sorry.
Joe, Melissa, and Brian were yeses. The rest of us were nos.
Officially my first time chasing someone down in the parking lot saying, don't leave.
Literally.
I saw
I
that
bet you
chase,
had
I
a, I
was
bet
wondering.
you had a better
This is gonna be
stride,
interesting.
though.
I looked behind me, she was there, I looked back, she was gone. So, yeah. So with apologies to Ms. Eisenman, we were doing some quick math and also doing some lawyering, like I like to do. And under Indiana Code 6, 1.1, 12.1, 5.9b, it appears to me that if we do nothing on the CF1 within 45 days, that it becomes automatically approved. So the problem is this, that you have the opportunity to have Deckers come back, provide additional information in one of 2 ways. One way is you could have a special meeting sometime in mid-June. I calculate before the 29th, but again, I was doing math very quickly, so we'd want to be sure about that. But under the statute, it says, not later than 45 days after the receipt of the information described in section 5.1, 5.3J, or 5.6 of this chapter, the designating body may determine whether the property owner has substantially complied with the statement of benefits approved previously. So if the designating body determines that the property owner has not substantially complied with the statement of benefits and that the failure to substantially comply was not caused by factors beyond the control of the property owner, such as declines in demand for the property owner's products or services, the designated body shall mail a written notice to the property owner, and that provides certain information and explanation of the reasons for the body's determination, the date, time, and place of a hearing to be conducted. And then we conduct a hearing and we would allow Deckers to come in and give us additional information. So it seems to me that either, if you want to table this, you could schedule a special meeting and make no decision tonight. You could find them in compliance and be in control of your own destiny. You could find them not to be in substantial compliance, which I understand one of the issues there is job creation in terms of
Portion of it,
what was
yeah.
promised, right? And so you could find them not to be, and then still give them the opportunity to come in and talk to you folks in July. Or we could leave it as we tabled it, and it will get approved automatically at the end of June.
Don't want to do that.
So, sorry, it just took a minute to get all that
We
wrapped up.
appreciate that.
No, we do. Thanks for running her down.
So if we don't want a special meeting, we have to vote to deny it tonight,
Is that what it is?
Much, yeah, that's.
which just means they'll come back to appeal it and have a hearing before us, right?
They'll still have the same opportunity,
Yeah.
I believe, we were giving them anyway on tabling it to come back and convince you otherwise.
I'd rather do it that way. How should we word that motion?
You have a resolution.
Yes.
You have A and B. One is they're not in substantial compliance, the other is they are in substantial compliance. The other thing, as I mentioned to Kim earlier, we will control the mailing of this so that it actually sets the meeting on the 7th, which that way we don't have to have a special meeting. So if we mailed it tomorrow, for example, are you following me?
This is,
it will be a notice that says we find you not in substantial compliance, but you have an opportunity to come and talk to us on an appeal of this at the July 7th meeting.
Well,
Does
should
that-
you deny the amended CF1 tonight, I mean, I'd rather just either decide or not, because we were just speaking in the hallway. I don't know, I mean, the assets and what they invested at that particular time, it is what it is. You know, I can't, I mean, we filed an amendment return based on, there was some building costs that were put on a personal property tax return, which is not right. However, if you want to continue having those on there, then that's fine for the 24 year. And leave it as it was filed. And I think that won't hurt your budget. That won't be contentious with Deckers and the county.
But can you,
and
I don't think,
we move on.
you can't make that decision though, tonight. You can't decide that it's okay to leave. I mean, we have to get Deckers involved to make that decision if they want to. You see what I'm saying?
It's amended return. I mean, amended returns, they can get denied or they can get approved. It doesn't, I mean, if you want to table it again, I'm not going to say that, there's going to be probably no one else here besides myself again, so, in
And why
30
is
some
that?
days. Because they're in California. I don't make any promises when I amend a return. You know, they already have it in budget what the $110,000 tax bill is.
So-
So, and they've already paid, you know, their spring amount. It was just in their best interest to get the assets reported correctly, okay? However that may be. And in turn, some of those assets qualified for the abatement because there was room in there to add in another $10 million of the abatement because because it was approved at $73 million. So we claimed the 66 million versus 58 million. And I understand that was a big difference. But at the end of the day, if they say we're going to invest this amount, and they do, I mean, that SB1, it has the cost of 73 million. The value of that's 34 million. That's $390,000 that is out the window for your budget. So that's already what you've approved. You've approved of giving them $390-some thousand. Okay? So, just wanted to kind of do the math on that, so.
Madam President, tell me, isn't the issue that we're concerned about compliance with job creation?
Well, that was a portion of it. That
Okay.
was. But our real issue is the reduction in the taxes pieces to those entities. I mean, that, and the issue of you came and asked for this, then you came and asked for more, and now you want to go all the way back to less than what it was in the beginning. So like I said, I bristled a little bit that you didn't have it right to begin with, and you had to come back and ask for more, and thought they were going to do so much more, but now we're back to less than what they originally. It just seems like the numbers are constantly changing.
This is a distribution center. And they are growing out there. I mean, they've got, across the street in Hendricks County, there's a distribution center as well.
Oh, they're all over, yeah.
For Deckers.
Oh, for them. Okay,
Yes,
that's
for-
why I asked if all
sorry.
these employments were at
Okay.
this location.
Yeah, so they have double the amount literally across the street.
So are we being asked two questions? Are we being asked to amend and find them in compliance? Or is this all one? Can we find them in compliance but decline the amendment?
Yes, you could do that. Well, here, time out.
And where
What
did-
happened for 2024, the original filing, that was done last year.
Okay.
So that original return and that original CF1 was approved.
Okay.
And there was no change on, the only change was the basis issue in the tax. I could do that.
That would take care of everything.
Okay.
That would be, I mean,
Rescinding
rescind
the amended return.
Amended return. So go back to what they originally were. This never happened. It was all a dream.
So we voted to table it. Do we need to rescind our vote to table it and then?
Yep,
Okay.
I would like that.
So you can't amend an amended return?
No,
So
I thought
you
you
would
just-
just rescind the amended return and stick with the previous return? Is that the plan? You have authority to do that tonight?
Oh, I do, I think I have authority to do that. I think I've had a power of attorney in there.
Oh, okay, okay. That's what I was curious about. I didn't want them coming back next week and saying she didn't have the authority to do that. Okay. All right.
And what, I'm sorry, can you just give us the elevator speech of what the effect of rescinding that amended return would be?
Well, I'll default to Linda.
Well, it's going to take us back to the 110 instead of 18,
It just leaves us where we were
where we were,
before she filed the amended return.
which I'm fine with
where
that.
They have a tax liability of $110,000.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, you have the authority to do that. I think at this
the amount
point,
of
it's
property tax they owe.
better to do that than to jeopardize
They
the
didn't like that.
ongoing
She found a
abatement with
mistake,
them.
So she amended it, and if we take the amended return, then that knocks it all the way down to
So I think we need to
9,000.
begin with rescinding your motion,
Tax amount.
Brian.
That's what's confusing.
But that's, I thought there was a.
Is that over there?
No?
No? Oh, okay. Okay. So then I need to make a motion to rescind my motion to table.
Thank you, Brian. And Troy, you seconded that. All right, we have a motion by Brian Culp to rescind his motion to table, and seconded by Troy Sprinkle. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries 7-0 to rescind the tabling of this. All right, now we'll move on to the second portion.
In the second portion, Josh, tell me if I don't get this right, you are going to move to approve the CF1, subject to the amended CF1 being rescinded, or the amended return being rescinded.
Okay.
I'll make that motion, as stated by our attorney.
I don't, does that, and I'll have to tweak the resolution. So
Okay, so,
you have a resolution in the packet, we'll sign off on that and make some notes to it.
And I will second that motion.
okay. We have a motion to accept the amended return contingent upon, right?
No.
No,
Original
accept the
return.
CF1,
Yeah, whatever they said. I'm not going to try to
a
repeat it.
motion to accept the CF1 conditioned on the rescinding of the amended return.
That's it.
So we have a motion by, who motioned
That
that?
was a motion by Chip Keller, and it was seconded by Troy Sprinkle.
Troy, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion, those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thanks for sticking with us, and we appreciate that, we do. I know this gets a little.
But it's a partnership, so.
Glad Ann's as tall as she is, that she was able to track
Yes, long steps, long strides.
All right, is there anything else that needs to come before the council? Not that one. We have that one. What else you got for us?
So I just want to add, one, thank you to Rachel for being here and working through that. it can appear we're at odds.
Yes.
She has a job to do and she's representing her company.
Yep.
But I really want to put this in context that, you know, it might look like you all just did a hard thing and people may say, well, we don't like what just happened, but everybody wants to complain about their taxes. We have this company in here because you guys work with them to increase the assessed value. And so I want to make sure that this isn't framed in a negative light. We want to continue working with companies. We want the companies who are here to reinvest, and we want new companies to come and look at us.
Exactly.
So this is the exact kind of thing that we have to do in order to get them to invest here. So I just thank you
Well, it
for
works.
doing that and
Yep.
sticking with it.
Appreciate that, Josh. Thank you. Is there anything else that needs to come before the council this evening? Hearing none?
I thought we just did.
We just did.
We voted to accept it upon condition of the rescinding of the amendment. Yeah.
In 1976, there was a time capsule buried on the northwest corner of the courthouse lawn that will be dug up, and if you want to see it, it will be on display at the County History Museum
Thank you, Vicki.
for the next year.
But it's not going to,
Capsule.
the capsule's there.
I have something.
Will be, but it will not be open till next July as its intended purpose.
Okay.
I look for a motion to adjourn.
I make
Brian.
a motion to adjourn.
It's
We have a motion by Melissa Green, seconded by Brian Culp to adjourn. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. I want one of those gavels.
I think you need one.
I gotta,
She wants a gavel. I'm buying her a gavel. I can use a gavel.
Oh, yeah, you went on your mission trip.
We built, yeah, a house in Juarez, Mexico.
That's cool.
You did? Yes, it was super cool. I know that I need a new hammer.
Was it very well organized, like the
That's
whole?
whose job.
Yep, every single piece of the shoes, everything.
But,
We stayed in a compound with concrete walls,
Got
I
the
don't know how
resolution.
high, with razor wire on top because we were
They'll
in
retype
Juarez.
that too.
Yeah.
And